captive audience. And so we've got tonight a special guest, and it's actually the first in a series that we are going to be doing every Friday for the next month with candidates for Senate District 29. So tonight, leading off our series is Mayor of Hermiston, Dave Drotzman. And Dave, thank you so much for joining us on Captive Audience, or joining me, I should say. Sometimes we have David is on, but right now, David, it's the first Friday of the month, and he's usually not on Fridays. So I really appreciate you coming on to Captive Audience, being our guest.
Thank you, Sonny. I appreciate the invite. I look forward to the conversation.
So you're the mayor of Hermiston, and you also have an optometrist business as well. And now you're adding another, which of course you won't be the mayor if you get elected to Senate District 29.
Right.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, so I'm in my 25th year of owning a private practice here in Hermiston. We are the largest eye care provider in Eastern Oregon. I am in my 12th year of being the mayor of the city of Hermiston. I'm also currently the president of the League of Oregon Cities. And so that's our statewide association that represents 241 cities, 1,500 councilors and mayors, and 70% of the state's population. So yeah, balancing a schedule right now is pretty challenging, but you don't get the opportunity to choose when the door opens. You just have the opportunity to step through it. And so I chose to step through it and get in this race because I think it's the right thing for East Oregonians.
Well, you're absolutely right. Life comes, you can't always set the schedule of what you want to do. So I just posted in comments your website there, and I'll tell you, Dave has I'm going to say a long history of community service, many volunteer things. You have also served on the Hermiston School District Board for 8 years, and then, like you said, elected the mayor, but you've served on many committees in that. Now, were those committees while you were mayor or before?
So I did not serve on any sort of city committee other than, like visioning type committees. So nothing that would be considered under the city governance structure, until I sat in a city council meeting for a year and watched and observed and decided to run for mayor. Had never sat on the council, had never served in a committee up till that point, but felt like, the city could benefit from my leadership, and got involved, and the community agreed with me, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I think we've had a lot of success in Hermiston in the last 12 years.
So, well, that's just jumping into the top there of being the mayor. That's admirable.
Right. I'm not scared, Sonny.
No, I can tell that. And so also volunteered with the Chamber of Commerce in Hermiston and the Rotary.
Right. Yeah, I'm a 28-year Rotarian. Started right after I got out of college, went right into Rotary. It's been a great civic organization, volunteer organization, gives back a lot to the community. I served on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I was elected to the school board, spent 8 years with the school board. So spent a lot of time invested in kids, youth education. And I've also volunteered as a coach for 20 years in my community. So everything from Little League and T-ball all the way up through high school sports. So it's just part of my, my upbringing. I had a lot of people that kept me off the streets when I was young, and it's my way of being able to give back to my community and help my community be a better place to run a business and raise a family.
Okay, so speaking of family, you're married with 3 children.
I am married, just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary in August.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I have 2 children.
Oh, 2. Okay.
Yep, a boy and a girl, 26 and 27 years old. So,
and I said 3 because there were 3 people in the picture along with your wife.
So that probably was my son-in-law. So my
Oh,
daughter is now married, and they have been married the last couple of years. So yeah, we consider him part of our family. So I guess you could say 3 kids in our family. We're hoping to have a 4th because my son has a wonderful girlfriend, and so hopefully we'll have a 4th child here pretty soon.
okay. Okay. Well, that's good. And then your business. So, how are you going to manage your business along with being a senator? And I know, we know here in Oregon, being a representative or a senator is not a full-time job. But like right now, where it is in session, and that's where that would absolutely take you away. And this is only the short session.
Right.
And next year would be a long session. How's that going to work?
Yeah. I think in Oregon, they expect their representatives to be employed. You get paid like $35,000 a year to do that job. And that's not a lot of money to provide for a family or to even raise yourself on. And so we do have to have another form of income. So I love my career. I love what I do. I will be happy doing it the rest of my life. I don't plan on going anywhere. The commitment I've made to my patients, they ask me every day, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to the care that you're providing for me? I'm still going to be there for them. I just will be less available. But I fortunately have been able to create a business that is going to succeed past me. And so I have 2 partners currently in my practice. We actually have a new doctor interviewing this weekend with us. Hopefully we'll be able to convince him to come to Eastern Oregon as well. And he'll start with us this summer. So that will be a 4th provider in our practice. And so as our practices continue to grow, we've had to add more providers to it. Both of my partners are amazing. And they've given me the space to continue my political career and future. And I plan on, they say this isn't a full-time job. If you ask the legislators, I think they probably argue with that. It seems like they're working all the time. Those are the hardest working men and women that I know. And so I'm going to try and balance all of that and still work in my career. Fortunately, I've been very successful in my career, and it's allowed me the flexibility to not have to be here full time to still make a living. So, and I've got great partners, and they've given me that space. So I will still do both. I'm a little naive to that, and so I'll have to figure out how the balance works, but I'm not retiring yet.
Okay, so what made you decide to run for Senate District 29?
Well, Senator Hansel called me January 2nd, a little over a year ago, and he said, Margaret and I have been talking over Christmas, and we've decided I'm not going to run this next term. You're the first phone call I made. I really appreciated him reaching out and talking to me and telling me that. He and I had talked in the past about, what the future looked like for him, what that position looked like. And, I enjoy the civic commitment, looking at challenges that we're facing as a community and trying to find solutions. I'm not one that wants to sit from the outside and cast stones and complain about everything if I'm not willing to get involved and engage in the process. And so for me, I saw this as a next opportunity, the next step to stand up for East Oregonians and try and find some solutions. Be a strong voice. I think a lot of East Oregonians are feeling left out of the conversation. And at the end of the day, this is a relationship business. I believe I've created a lot of relationships in all corners of the state over the last 12 years of being mayor and the last 6 years of being on the board of directors of the League of Oregon Cities, as well as when I served on the board at the school board. And at the end of the day, those relationships are going to prove valuable when I get into the Capitol, because we're going to have to work across the aisle. We're outnumbered and outgunned when we get down there to Salem, and we're going to have relationships. And so we need a good, strong voice to kind of push back against the Portland sprawl and the Portland politics that are being forced upon us from Salem. And I think I'm smart enough. I think I'm also rational and common sense to have a conversation, but also push back against some of the policies that are being presented and be that voice that Eastern Oregon needs to represent them down there. Now that Senator Hansel has decided to step down, we need another person to step up and I'm willing to do that.
Okay, so what are the two items that you see as most important things affecting Oregon, in your opinion?
Just two?
Just two.
You
I
know,
had to narrow the field, you know, I mean, there's so many. So what are your two top items?
you know, as I travel across the district, everyone is concerned about public safety, number one. And we finally have some fixes to Measure 110. I've worked hard with that team as the president of the League of Oregon Cities. We worked with public safety officers, our DAs, our sheriffs, our police chiefs to find some resolution. We actually made a proposal to the legislature on 11 recommendations for improvements to Measure 110. We got 10 out of the 11. I'm proud to say, as an organization, 10 out of the 11 that we requested, and the one that we didn't get, we wanted an A misdemeanor returned. They reclassified it as a U misdemeanor. That's way better than a traffic or a parking ticket. So I think public safety is number one. As I'm hearing across the district, got to attack the fentanyl crisis that we're seeing on our streets. And that's leading to the homelessness situation that we're now seeing in every corner of our district as well. And so I think not everybody is a drug addict that's homeless, but there's a strong tie between homelessness folks and some sort of addiction. And so I'm going to focus on those solutions. There will definitely be some improvements we'll have to make in the 2025 session as well. And nobody has got the silver bullet to fix this yet, but we're going in the right direction. And I'm going to continue to work on that. And the other thing, you limited me to two, and that's tough, Sonny.
It is tough. That's why I did it, because we've got a lot of areas to cover that I want to touch on, so people have a good feel for who Dave Droz is.
I think we've got to find a way to make living less expensive. Right now, it's so hard to get into housing. We tend to overtax folks to death in this state. The state is not, hasn't figured out a tax it doesn't like yet. And we continue to grow government. And that was never the intent of government from the beginning. The constitutional fathers wanted the smallest form of government we could get, and we continue to grow that government. And so trying to create a space that people can be successful financially, we've got to continue to look at ways to reduce the government, reduce taxation, and provide more housing options to folks, because right now getting into a house is just too dang expensive for our young folks. And that's bottom line why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for my kids and my grandkids. I've had a successful life and a successful career, and I'll be just fine. But I worry about the future of my kids and grandkids. And so we've got to make it more affordable for them to live.
Okay, so that kind of segues into another question. As the mayor of Hermiston, talking about money, is 2024 started with the Hermiston had a budget shortfall. Yeah,
2023 actually. Yeah.
Pardon?
2023 actually, we started talking about it.
Well, yes, and I remember seeing that in the newspapers. Yeah. And so there was some solutions brought up in January. I'm looking at an article in the Hermiston Herald that the city council approved some cuts, but also added police and trying to balance the budget. So talk about that.
Yeah,
so, again, and I say that because I'm not trying to attack you or anything.
No, I get it. I want to be able to defend that. And I'm not afraid of the tough questions, Sonny. So, fire away.
Okay.
Cities are at a precarious position. We're going to see a city default here in the next 5 years because Measure 5.
What do you mean by that? City default?
Mean go bankrupt. Because they're not going to have enough revenues, or they're going to cut services so far that they're no longer functional. Measure 5 and 50.
PERS is part of the huge problem.
PERS is a huge part of the problem, and it's going to go up another 12 or 15% next year. So, we Measure 5 and 50, which were put into place almost 30 years ago, restricted the growth of revenues to cities by 3%. If we look at anything that's happened over the course of the last 3 years, with the inflationary costs that we're seeing, you're seeing double-digit inflationary changes wages increasing, fuel costs going up, electricity costs going up. Just looking at PGE increases in electricity over the last 3 years, 51%.
And they just asked for more.
Yeah, fuel's double what it was when Trump was in office. So, everything that we get is fuel dependent. And so it's just driven up the cost. And so we're seeing a lot of wage increases as well. And cities are trying to keep police officers employed, going through COVID and the Summer of Love and the BLM pushback. And, there was a lot of anti-police movement that went on. We saw a lot of folks retire from the profession. And so we're trying to make sure that we have good, hardworking individuals and people on our streets that are keeping them safe. And those people deserve to be paid well. And so our costs currently are growing greater than our revenue streams. And so we're having to make cuts.
But I'm
going to get to that. So $2 million, we had a $2 million budget shortfall coming into our budget session last year. We were able to cut that to $900,000 by the time we finished the budget. The council pushed back. The administration said, we're going to backfill this with a loan to ourselves. We said, no, we're going to make cuts. We aren't going to make any sort of, we're not going to have any sort of additions, and we're going to hold positions. And we actually didn't fill some of the positions that were open to be filled because we needed to have a conversation about how we were going to continue to maintain the services. So then over the course of the next 6 months, we cut it to $900,000. Over the course of the next 6 months, we evaluate every single budget line item. The council took a deep dive. The administration brought every budget area in the city in front of us, and we were able to look at all of the revenues and all of the costs, and we were able to trim that down to $700,000. At that point, we had to say, do we want to continue to backfill this, or do we want to continue to make more cuts? What that meant is people, and we're talking about cutting public safety, less police. So we're talking general fund dollars, right?
Okay, but yet you guys built a new city hall, right?
Yep. Let me explain that too. So general fund.
But wait a minute. Wait, you built a new city hall, and part of this article that I did just post the link to, it says you're cutting the street maintenance budget. Now streets are what everybody in the community, drives on.
Absolutely.
That's something that's really important. And I think the number one job of government would be public safety.
Absolutely.
If they have to have it, it's public safety. But yet every time politicians always go, well, we're going to have to cut something in public safety. No.
Right.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Let me finish. I'll tell you what we were talking about. So general fund dollars, you brought up City Hall. City Hall is not an expense that comes out of general fund dollars. We were able to pay for City Hall through enterprise zones funding. We worked with the county and the city in enterprise zone funds to pay for that. There was no budget expense, no bonded expense.
That's deferred taxes, isn't it?
So yes, our enterprise zones
funds are deferred taxes.
Lamb Weston, Amazons, those sort of organizations were able to get tax exemptions for 15 years. In lieu of them giving us funding. And so that funding is buying down our debt. We looked at it as single one-time use expenses, not to be used to grow government or pay for government. So we were able to pay for City Hall through those funds without bonding debt to the constituents. General fund dollars essentially pay for Parks and Rec, library, public safety, administration. So those four departments, that's what we're talking about. So when we're talking about cuts, less library hours, less parks and rec programs, less public safety. What we did in our review of our budget was to look through all of those departments and see where we could make some restrictions or cuts in the programs. Then we also surveyed the community. We did public forums. We brought people in to talk about it. And then we surveyed the community. How do you want to handle this? Do you want us to make those cuts? Do you want us to not have more public safety hours, restrict our library hours, restrict our parks and rec programs? Those were the choices that were offered to them. What we heard resoundingly is no, we need more police officers. We want our library to be open and accessible, and we want our parks to look clean and our kids have access to them, and we want recreation programs so our kids have things to do. So they said, So then it was, how do we want to pay for it? And currently, Hermiston doesn't have any additional fees that you could consider as taxes that we've added beyond the property taxes. So
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You've got a law enforcement staffing fee of $5 a month on all city utility bills.
that just happened. So we didn't
Right.
have that until now. So that's what I'm saying. Until now, we didn't have any of those
Okay.
fees. A lot of other communities had them already. So what we heard from the community is they wanted constituents to help pay. They wanted businesses to help pay. It shouldn't be just borne on the residents. So
And so let me back up
Yeah.
a second, because what you started to say in this is that, well, we only can grow 3%.
right,
So that's our tax base.
Right.
I understand that coming out of the county. Then are you in favor of the state being in charge of property taxes and increasing our property taxes?
So we have to figure out as a society how we want to pay for the services that we have within our communities. I agree to local control. I do not want the state taking away our role and responsibility. I think the decisions at the local level are the best decisions. That happened with Measure 5 and 50, which was voted in by the public. So that took away a lot of the local control and went to the state. I would love to see that come back to local cities, and cities decide how much taxes they want to pay and what services they want. Same with the school district. Same thing happened there.
Okay, so let me ask this question.
Shoot.
I used to be on our city budget committee, and in fact, right now we're looking for a new city manager. Our
Right.
city manager is retired.
Yep.
And I was looking at the package, and I would like to know if Hermiston has the very same thing that my town has. And when an employee pays into PERS, or they don't pay into PERS, the city pays, and it doesn't look like the employee is vested into paying into their own PERS account at all. And so how is the city of Hermiston in that regard? Because I think it's much more prudent on people that are working for our city and county governments, that they are vested into also contributing to their PERS retirement, and it's not solely based on the state or the city or the county.
Right. A lot of those things.
How's the city of Hermiston?
So we hired our city manager like 10 years ago. I don't remember the contract that we hired and how he's paid. I know he gets an allocation towards his 401k or his PERS account. Those things are often negotiated. Even when I was on the school board, a lot of times school district employees would negotiate a larger contribution into their PERS account in lieu of increases in their pay. Same thing with our, police office union. And so I would have to say that that's a negotiation between the professional and the board that's governing them. And so sometimes people would prefer that more money went into their retirement account and they got paid less in their take-home pay. So I feel like that's a negotiation that should be up to those professionals.
Okay. So we're going to move to another topic.
Well,
I made a few.
I thought you're going to press me more on that.
No, because there's other things I want to talk about.
Absolutely.
I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts? Because I'm looking at the time.
Yeah.
And
it's going by quick.
It does go by quick. So be mindful of that. So and I was giving you a lot of, I want people to, I invited you here, and I'm doing this with the candidates because I want people to get to know you more.
Right.
When you are doing candidate forums, you are absolutely, okay, you got 2 minutes to answer this question,
Right.
and that's not what this is.
Yeah.
Although we try to keep it to 30 minutes, often we can go to an hour, trust me, because this is a much more open forum, and we are doing one-on-one, Dave.
Right.
So there's a big topic right now is the illegals coming across the border.
Yeah.
I will not call them immigrants because I'm sorry, you're entering the United States illegally, unlawfully, and that's what I use.
Right.
That's the term I use, and I consider them that until they've gotten their documents.
Right.
And and so my question is, what is your position on the invasion of the illegals entering Oregon?
Yeah. I'm for stronger borders. I'm for a border wall. I think people should enter this country legally. My grandparents came here because of persecutions that were happening in Eastern Germany. This was the melting pot for the world, but they came here legally. They entered through Ellis Island, and we were able to live the American dream because we entered that process. I'm all for allowing immigration. I think we need more immigration. There's not, talk to any business across this district right now. You cannot find enough people to hire. So that's another subject we could probably talk about. But we need more legal immigrants coming into our communities to help us. Now, I'm not for illegal immigration. I think those folks should be deported if they came across illegally. And I think people should come through the right way and get in line behind others that have entered the process before them, and shouldn't be pushed to the front of the line or shipped around the rest of the United States to become a burden on society if they're not contributing to society.
Okay. So then what are your views on Oregon being a sanctuary state?
Yeah, I'm opposed to that.
And is Hermiston a sanctuary city? No?
No.
Has it taken action to be not a sanctuary city?
We haven't taken action to be a sanctuary city.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is I found out and I'm going to be doing some more research on this, but I saw something yesterday that Oregon is a sanctuary state, but there's 4 counties that are not sanctuary counties.
Okay.
And that's what I said. I got to learn more about this because I think you have to actively not be. And I think more communities and more counties need to opt out and get loud about this is not acceptable. So I wanted to just hear your opinion on that.
Yeah.
What's your position? Let's see if I have something else about that. Well, we have illegals coming into our area, and your town and my town are the 2 towns that have the highest Hispanic communities in them, populations in them, of the other towns that are in Umatilla County.
Okay.
And I have no qualms about immigrants whatsoever. I have Peruvians, I have Germans, I have Costa Ricans in my family that were all legally coming into here.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have illegals coming into our communities. People have sent me video of buses coming into Hermiston and saying, what about this? In fact, I even called our sheriff and said, hey, what's this? And sent him the video. And but with that, it is adding more burden in our communities. How's Hermiston dealing with this?
Well, I think it's a little bit unfair to answer that question just from the standpoint that I don't have the proof that you've alluded to that that's happening. Now, I've heard the same sort of rumors that you've had. I also know that we have labor services in our community that do have H-2A workers that they bring in.
Yeah, we do too.
By bus that come in and help in our agricultural communities. They're transient. They work in the different fields, different occupations, and are here legally. And so I don't know if those are the buses that people are referring to that are assuming that are coming into our community, or they actually have proof that that's happening. So I won't speak to that
Okay.
specifically. I think that's fair.
But how are your schools in Hermiston feeling the burden of more coming in that are not speaking the language?
There's a lot of people that are coming into our communities that speak multiple different languages from all different countries. And so, yeah, the state has required our schools to work with them in their language. And so we do have a large population. It is growing. And I think the school district is doing a good job with it. I think our teachers are challenged. That was the other thing that if you would have asked me at the beginning, 3 things I think we need to work on as a state is our education system.
Oh yeah, we're in the gutter.
Right. We're like 48th or 49th in the nation right now.
We don't have any standards for anybody to graduate to.
We've removed.
When you lower the bar to the floor.
Yeah, and our graduation rates went up. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, right.
So, I'm not for that. I'm going to ask to return standards and expectations. I think we need to hold people accountable, and we need to set higher standards. We need to be competitive in a national and an international workforce. So I'm about providing a proper education. Right now in our education system, it's a struggle. Our teachers are being asked to do way too much, and they're not getting paid well enough to do it. And we're not providing them with the appropriate services, and the state is putting too many demands on them.
But yet we spend the most of like almost any state in the nation on education.
Yeah. Well,
we have the highest money spent on our education, and we're getting the least return.
Yep, I agree. The system's broken.
And so we have to cut something.
Well,
you can't just throw money at it and expect it to get solved.
Well, that's Oregon State's way of doing business, isn't it? Just throw money at it.
Well, it is.
Well, and so I'm going to go down there, Sonny, and I'm going to try and look at the different silos of government and how we're spending government, because right now we don't spend it like a business would spend it. Every day I'm looking at revenues and expenses, and I've been able to grow to the largest provider of eye care in Eastern Oregon and have a significantly popular or successful business because of for the last 25 years, because I've been able to be hard-nosed about expenses and be hard-nosed about revenues and make sure those are lining up and still be competitive within my network. I don't want to chase competition away or chase people away because my fees are way out of range. We need to be competitive. But if we don't look at government like a business and start, being responsible to the people that are paying our taxes, they're going to start leaving our state. Isn't that what we're seeing right now? Last 2 years, we've seen more decreases of population, businesses leaving our state. Those are hardworking people, taxpayers. Some of our highest income folks are leaving our state. Why? Because we're overtaxing them and not putting their taxes to good use.
Okay, so talking about education and schools, what do you feel about school choice?
Yeah, good question. So did you get all of these questions from the Roundup Republican Women's?
No, not at all.
Because I did an interview. I did an interview with them yesterday, and these questions are almost identical.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't there, and no.
So, school choice.
But you know what? When you start getting in, because the campaign is going to heat up, and you're going to be going to different candidate forums, and you're going to start seeing some of the same questions. And of course, because school choice, there's petitions that are going around about school choice of wanting to get that onto the ballot. And so when we, as people that you would be representing my district, if you get elected, you want to know where people stand. So that stands to reason.
I think if you're frustrated with the education that you're getting in the school district that you're in, you should have the choice to move. And the dollars.
Okay.
And the dollars should follow
what about the money following the student?
That's what I just said.
And
the dollars should follow you.
Even if they're going into a Catholic school?
I think you pay taxes. Part of those taxes go into an education system to help fund that. And those taxes that you pay should go towards a private education. Now, I'm not saying that they should go, if you're you're getting $7,500 per student to go to your local school district, you shouldn't get $12,000 to go to a Catholic or a private school. We also have to
No, I think it should be dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
Whatever public school's going to get, that amount should go. That's what you're thinking?
Yes.
Glad to hear it. Okay. What are your thoughts on the Senate walkout? The senators walked out.
Yeah.
It's costing them that they are not going to be able to spin through the courts now. It's been to the Oregon Supreme Court
Yeah.
and the appellate court, that they are not going to be able to run for re-election. That's a shame. Would you support a walkout even under the rules of today? And the reason I ask that is because how bad does it have to get to stop the Democrat legislation?
Yeah.
The way I look at it here in Oregon, and our regular viewers know I'm the chair for Umatilla County Republicans. And so my thought goes towards that type of thing, of politics. The Democrats legislators in the state of Oregon are, in my viewpoint, are looking to destroy the state. It's from so many angles. They're not doing things. Look at cap and trade. There's just so many legislative things that are atrocious to Oregonians. And for example, child I'm not going to
Healthcare
say that.
choices, age 14.
Pardon?
Their healthcare choices, independent healthcare choices.
That's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's one.
So, what was your original question? Your original comment was.
So how do you feel about Senate walkout?
Yes, walkout.
And
So,
would you be willing to walk out as a senator?
I've already said that given the situations in which Senator Hansel walked out in the past, I would have walked out as well. And I may be a single term candidate. I've already said that publicly. I've said it on other podcasts. I've said it in meetings.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And
so now you've said it on Captain
Well,
Science.
no, but what I'm saying is it's a tool in the toolbox that I would preserve, want to preserve. It's been used by Republicans and Democrats. I look at it, though, as a last result. But at the same point, there are certain morals that I won't cross. There are certain ethical boundaries I won't cross being jammed down my throat by liberal Democrats. So I would be willing to walk out if I had to. But my goal would be to go down there, build relationships across the aisle, and bring value home. I can't bring value home if I can't develop those relationships, stay in there and work hard for you every day, and bring some value back to my community. So I know it damaged a lot of what we wanted to get done last session. I've heard it both from our locally elected officials as well as statewide, that there was some damage that was a result of that. That's not what I want to do. But at the same point, I will protect against extreme liberal policies all day.
What kind of damage? What are you hearing? What kind of damage was done because
So there
of
was
the
some
walkout?
legislation in front of that was supported by Senator Hansel and Representative Smith and Levy that could have brought dollars back to our communities that were purposely removed from, like, Christmas tree bills, capital infrastructure bills, transportation bills, because of Democrats being mad or frustrated about the walkouts and not being able to get enough done. And so,
but at the same time, all these districts
Yeah.
all got record amounts of money
Yeah.
for what they did get done.
well,
The senators threatened to come back on the last day. They didn't. They came back early, and there was enough damage done, in my viewpoint, by the Democrats, by them not denying the quorum until the very last day, and then pass the budget items.
Yeah.
Because that's the number one deal, is the budget items, not the social agenda
Mhm.
of the Democrats.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to load up in the end,
Mhm.
to make it all about the social agenda, DEI, and our children.
I guess I would push back a little bit from the standpoint that I don't know that Democrats are evil, bad people that are nefariously trying to destroy the state. I think they want to see a successful state. I think they want to see families successful. I think they want to see us be a productive community. Now, some of the policies that are coming out of that process and that conversation haven't proven to be successful. Measure 110 is a perfect example, right? Cap and trade, climate agenda, trying to reach climate goals for 2030. All of those things are hurting communities and hurting families and causing the cost of living going through the roof. But I think at the end of the day, my goal is going to be to try and bridge the gap, try and make sure that they know we're intelligent, hardworking people out here in Eastern Oregon, that we want to be left alone. We don't want Portland politics being forced down our throats. And we want local control and local decision making that protects our values and our families here in Eastern Oregon.
Okay. How you have a homeless center
Mm-hmm.
in Hermiston.
Yeah, right.
And how's that going? How much money's been spent on it? How's it productive going? And how many people is it serving now?
So it'll actually open this month. So
how long has this project been going?
Well,
it's not open yet? I thought
it's not open yet. So, it was built from the ground up on county donated property. It had no services to it. So they had to go in and they had to put water infrastructure in there. They had to put wastewater or, sewer system in there. They had to get electrical to it. They had to scrub the ground. I mean, it was literally sagebrush ground.
Yeah, I know what construction is.
Yeah. And so it's extremely expensive and time consuming. It was one of the 8 pilot projects that was approved by the legislature 2 sessions ago as a pilot project across the state to help transition people from homelessness into a place.
Right. We're the only county that received money on the east side.
Right. And
so who vied for that? Maybe George Murdoch did.
So
I don't know.
George is a good friend of mine. So
I know
one of the things that we as the city officials, because of the decisions that came out of Boise and Grants Pass, is homelessness individuals have a right to public property. We have to abide by the law, and we can't sweep.
I know about that. When did the ribbon cutting, when did that start? That construction project start?
Well, I mean, we've been working on it for probably close to a year, right? So we did a ribbon.
A year, and when's it going to open up?
Well, this month. So
this month,
right? Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, and that's what I wanted to know.
Yep, it's got 22 shelters in it, and so it's got the potential to expand to a larger capacity, and it also has services that are available through a navigation center so that people can find drug and alcohol counseling. They can connect with food, get a warm meal. They can get counseling if they need behavioral health services. They can get mailbox services. They can get driver's license, birth certificates, trying to transition these folks from the streets into productive citizens.
Driver's license and birth certificates?
Yeah, a lot of these folks are out.
Boy.
A lot of these folks are out on the street, have lost, their birth certificates or their proof of who they are, so they can't get social services without those sort of proof. And who's doing that vetting? Well, I think whoever would do that through a state agency.
Okay.
So I don't.
So let's move to another topic. I'd like to talk about here in Umatilla County and Morrow County is very much affected by the high levels of nitrate in the groundwater. And that has been, so I would like to, how's that affecting Hermiston?
Well, the city of Hermiston isn't seeing much of it because we have, water that we provide to everybody and it's healthy and safe. As far as the region, the county around us, there are some high nitrate levels. We probably aren't as visibly active as maybe Morrow County has been. There's a lot of, members that are up in arms out there and they're constantly pushing back. But I think you're starting to see, it's a 70-year, 80-year problem that we're starting to pour a bunch of attention and money into right now to try and create a short-term fix. And so
Okay.
I,
I didn't know if it was affecting your city. I know about the region, so I'm going to move on
okay,
from that.
sure.
Because I know what's happening in our region.
Yeah.
And, but something you did say, it's a 70 to 80 year problem. And, for 20, 30 years, they've known it's been a problem, and the can has been kicked down the road.
Yep.
Are you a kick down the road can guy?
No, I'm a get in there and make a difference guy. I'm gonna get in there and fix problems. And so the conversation of what I was gonna say, because it's a part of this district, it's gonna be a issue that I'm gonna want to focus on and help the constituents in that area. We need safe, reliable drinking water, and so
100%.
we need to bring people to the table, the responsible parties, and that's agriculture, that's business, that's community. And so we need to bring them all to the table and stop pointing fingers at each other and blaming people. I'm not about pointing fingers. I'm about finding solutions. And so I'm going to work to help those folks in the process, try and help some solutions or find some solutions so that people have safe, reliable drinking water. That's one of my number one focuses when I got into city council, is to make sure we weren't the next Flint, Michigan, by investing in the infrastructure for our water systems. And we have really reliable water systems here in our town.
Okay. What are your views on DEI?
So I've actually participated in multiple conversations and committees as a member. There's a big focus across the state on DEI, and I'm about breaking down barriers to participation. So if people aren't able to participate, I want to know why, and let's break that barrier down so that they can participate. But
what you just said doesn't tell me anything. That was a word salad, Dave. I'm going to call you. That was a word salad.
I don't know what you want me to say.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I know what it means.
Do you have that department in Hermiston?
We don't have that department in Hermiston.
Okay.
We actively promote based on merit. We actively hire based on merit. I believe in merit. But I also want to reflect the community of which we live in too. And so where there's an opportunity to, appoint a person to a committee or to hire a person in our community that equally merit, that reflects our community, then those are the individuals we need to hire. But at the same point, it's all based on merit. I think the cream rises to the crop, and those are the individuals that should get those opportunities.
It needs to be merit-based. Everything
100%.
needs to be merit-based.
The challenges we're seeing at the state right now, I think directly reflect all the dysfunction we're seeing in all the different departments of the state. The resources that we're throwing out the window or not spending appropriately. It's because people haven't earned positions. I think people need good quality individuals that understand leadership and that can provide leadership and understand the organization that they're being hired for. That's what we're missing in a lot of our state government right now.
So you would be supportive of going to merit-based, stopping DEI?
Again, I'll come back to breaking down barriers. If there's barriers to participation and there's actual racism going on in hiring practices, we need to eliminate that stuff. But I definitely am about merit. I believe people that are qualified should be hired.
Okay.
Irregardless if they check the right box.
What are your views on, you know what? I'm not for any type of racism. And I don't believe truly, well, I'm not going to even go there, but I think that we are, because I talk about it a lot, Dave, on our program. So I don't need to do it with you, because this is your time and about you and trying to get your views, not about mine. What's your views on the transgender care for children here in the state of Oregon?
What transgender care for children?
So we have in the state of Oregon, if a child wants to
transition,
is it a parent's job or the school's job or the government's
job?
I
think the government should be out of raising our kids. I don't think the government should be telling you how to raise your kids or involved in decisions. I think that should be left up to the family until they're at least 18. And frankly, I don't think a person should have that decision to transition until they're 25. But I know that that's not going to be legally binding because the brain isn't fully developed until your mid 20s. And so I don't
Exactly.
want people making permanent decisions for their body that could be potentially damaging to them physically and mentally at a young age that they will regret the rest of their life. They are much more likely to end up in suicide because of those poor decisions that they may have made at a younger age. So I'm against all of that. Now, I am also supportive of people that are in that uncomfortable position where they don't feel like they're healthy in their body. And that once they're an adult, that's their decision what they do with their body. I'm not going to tell them what they should or shouldn't do. But
100% agreement.
okay.
I'm 100% agreement on that. But it is protecting the children.
Absolutely.
And so there have been cases, not necessarily in Oregon that I can cite right now, but definitely in other parts of this nation, where children have been taken away, either from a hospital has said, you know what, you're not calling Jill Jim.
Your child abuse.
So
you're creating child abuse with your child because you're not supporting their transition. Yeah, I think children don't know what they want. I think they need to mature and allow their brain to develop, and their body will catch up with it, and then they can make an adult decision when they're an adult. I don't like the fact that we're taking away parental rights. I think, and that's again one of the reasons I'm going to Salem. I said it early. It's about my kids and my grandkids.
Okay. And then what are your thoughts on climate change and the global initiative?
You know, I'm not a climate alarmist. I think that the globe is probably getting a little bit warmer, but I don't think it should be the burden on Oregonians that we have to pay for a global crisis. So, you know, fortunately, this is a policy that's being pushed on us by the Democrats, and they're telling us that, you know, we're going to burn up and go to hell by the year, 2030 if we don't do something drastic right now for the climate. Now, where we can, I think we should reduce fossil fuel usage. Now, that doesn't mean we should be eliminating forms of energy production before we can transition. So, whether it's windmills or solar farms that are going to replace, we took off 600 megawatts from this coal-fired plant here regionally without being able to replace that energy. Now,
but with Dave, wait.
Yeah.
When they stopped the coal-fired plant in Boardman,
mm-hmm.
it was approved to have a liquefied LNG gas-fired plant,
Right.
And they stopped that.
Yep.
That was going to be the replacement for coal.
Yep. And that's what I was getting to. We shouldn't be taking these fossil fuels offline until we have other forms of energy to backfill them. Our energy need is growing way beyond what we're keeping up with. I think we also need to look at changing our position and stance on nuclear. I think we need to get back at looking at small cell nuclear. I think that itself would be an amazing resource for us regionally to look at. I'm also a supporter of natural gas usage. And so, we're trying to build a hydrogen plant out here, potentially at the CDA property out on the old depot. And so that's another potential form of clean energy development. I'm for that. So I'm not a climate alarmist. I don't think we need to build windmills and solar farms everywhere. But if we can reduce the amount of carbon that's going into the climate, stop burning off our forests would be a number one start.
Oh, right.
If we weren't burning our forests down every summer.
Why do you say that we need to reduce our use of petroleum?
I didn't say petroleum. I said producing carbon, and that could be in any form.
No, not carbon. No, you said we should, in reducing our use of gas products. You did early on in this answer. Gosh, I wish I could hit rewind.
Well, if I did,
know,
I'm not going to argue with you. If I said anything about gas, I'm not sure I said gas or petroleum at all. But you know, as far as automobiles out here, you know, you can't you can't farm a field with an electric tractor. You can't pull a trailer up and down the road with an electric tractor or an electric truck yet. Daimler is getting close. The mileage that we drive out here, the electric vehicles don't suit us very well. And
and
so,
the winter.
and yeah, and we have some pretty tough winters out here too. And so,
Yeah.
the agenda that's being pushed on us to switch everybody to electric vehicles, that's not something I'm supportive of.
Okay, so you're not in favor of net zero then?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, frankly.
Net zero means not using any fossil fuels
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I know what they say it means, but yeah, that's not something I'm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Dave, we have gone for an hour.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Wow.
And so I want to thank you so much for joining me on Captive Audience, and really very much, and for the conversation,
Yeah.
for allowing me to ask you questions all over the place
Yep.
and all the spectrums.
Yep.
And participating.
Yeah. So thank you for the invite, Sonny, and very challenging questions. And I appreciate the challenging questions because I think they get at the heart of who we are ethically and morally, and what sort of candidate we're going to be when we're elected. And so I appreciate being challenged. I'm not afraid of the hard issues. I'm not afraid to take a stance on a hard issue either. But I'm also malleable. I want people like yourself. I want people like others to push back if they feel like I'm not doing something that represents them appropriately, or I made a mistake on a vote. I want you to let me know. I want to know if I'm doing what's expected of me by the voters that elected me. And so I'm looking forward to feedback when I get down there and the decisions that I make. I'm going to represent Eastern Oregon the best I can, but I may not be right 100% of the time, and I expect people to provide me feedback, and I look forward to that.
Okay, thank you. That was very good closing statement there. And everybody, like always, like and share everywhere, especially in Senate District 29, which was Senator Hansel's spot. This is, it's out there. And Dave, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sonny.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.